So when it comes to Call of Duty Zombies, I feel like there are a couple of maps that everyone has just seemingly forgotten. And those maps are Bus Depot, Town, and Farm, and arguably maybe Nuketown Zombies. I hear more people talking about Nuketown Zombies than these other maps though, to be fair. We're not going to be playing all of them in this video. I guess we'll go with Bus Depot because out of any of these maps, this one is definitely the most, you know what, I'm going to turn on Hellhounds. I could definitely use the max ammos on this map. But out of any of these maps, this one is definitely the most forgotten. Literally nobody plays Bus Depot. And honestly, this may be a weird comparison, but when it comes to these maps, Bus Depot, Town, and Farm, I've always had like a weird parallel in my mind between this game and World of War Zombies. So the way I see it, Bus Depot is very similar to Noct. Farm is pretty similar to something like Verrückt because it doesn't have its own designated wonder weapon. All that it really has is perks, and that's it. You buy perks, you train it around the map, and you try to survive, very similar to something like Verrückt. And then Town is more similar. I kind of want to say it's similar to Der Riese just because it has Pack-a-Punch, but outside of that, that's the only similarity because otherwise it doesn't have its own designated wonder weapon. I mean, heck, the map doesn't even have a power switch or teleporters or anything. Like, you just spawn in and the Pack-a-Punch is right there. But obviously with World of War Zombies, it was very bare bones and it was all about survival. And ironically enough, that's what these maps are referred to as. They're just referred to as survival maps. You have Bus Depot, which is a survival map, and then Farm Survival and Town Survival. And honestly, as much as I love the more complicated maps, like, you know, you have your Mob of the Dead, you have your Origins, you have your Der Riesendrox, sometimes all you want to do is kick back, turn on a map, and just, I don't know, blast some zombies in the face, see what round you get to, and not do much else besides that. And that's part of why I find myself returning to these maps so often. I bet most of you probably haven't even turned on Black Ops 2 to play these maps in years. Maybe not the case with Town, because a lot of people actually still do play Town to this day, surprisingly. Like, you could probably find, no, in fact, I know for a fact that you can find an online match of Town quite easily, because I've done it within the last couple weeks. When it comes to, like, Bus Depot to Farm, man, like, barely anybody ever plays these maps. I mean, I understand because, you know, Black Ops 2 is also home to many other great maps, as I listed before. Oh yes, you have to love the transit weapon selection. I have an RPG and a DSR, and unfortunately, it doesn't get much better than that. I know this is definitely a bit of a I mean, some people have softened their opinions in recent years on the map, but personally, ever since day one, I've always loved transit. And to this day, I still love transit. There's some people that have finally started to come around on the map and be like, oh yeah, you know what, it actually wasn't that bad, and some people actually genuinely like it, but seriously, ever since Black Ops 2 launched, I've loved transit. I boot up transit quite often, in fact, just to go for some high rounds, just to have a fun time. Sure, I'm not going for like round 100s or anything like that, because going for round 100 on transit is a bit of a nightmare. That doesn't change the fact that I absolutely adore that map, and I love the Victus crew as well. Also, just a bit of a funny comparison for any of my fellow boomers out there that were alive during the PlayStation 2 generation. For those of you that have played Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, tell me that the Blue Sage does not remind you of Marlton from the Victus crew. Even if you haven't played Jak and Daxter before, just go look up Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, Blue Sage, and hopefully it'll like pop up with a scene that has the Blue Sage in it, but listen to that and tell me that it does not remind you of Marlton. Yeah, this is basically all that this map has to offer. The box doesn't even move in this map. Like, this is the only location for the box. Like, what you see is what you get. You have the Bus Depot on the inside, you know, you start up in there, and then you come outside, and that's really it. This is the map. Honestly, I kind of wish there was a bit more to it, like maybe if it could have had perks or Pack-a-Punch or something like that, because I really feel like if this map actually had like perks or Pack-a-Punch, or at least like options to turn that stuff on, I'm dead already, then it might have at least helped to add to this map's longevity and helped more people actually remember its existence. Honestly, I'm okay with that. I didn't feel like playing that map for the whole video anyway. Oh, and turned? Like, why? How come all that we got for the diner was turned? Why couldn't we get a survival version of it? Besides the power station, we got a survival map for literally every other, like, core part of transit besides the diner. I feel like, if anything, that map has such a unique layout that actually could have been really cool. But anyway, like I said, a lot of people still remember Town, a lot of people still play it to this day, so we'll dive into Farm next. I'm sorry if in this video I'm still like kind of out of frame, or if the face cam still just looks kind of weird. I'm still experimenting with this new camera. I know it isn't as good as the old one. I know I've said that in the last couple of videos, but you know, this is still relatively new, so I just, you know, I keep mentioning it just so people know, yes, this is a new camera. This camera isn't as bad as I thought it was initially, but it's still definitely not too pretty. And somehow, even though I'm using the same exact microphone as I was before, or when I use it with this phone specifically, it sounds like a million times worse. So maybe like this, I guess it might be a thing of like the sound chip being different. But anyway, here we are on Farm, and yeah, this map is pretty simple as well. There's literally only one door to open, that being the door into the house. Got a quick revive out here, double tap out there. You got Speed Cola on the bottom floor there, and Juggernog on the upper floor there. You got the Mr. mystery box. The mystery box literally doesn't even move. You come out here, you got Galvaknuckles, you got the Olympia in the barn, and yeah, it's pretty simple. Like I said before, sometimes after, whether it be, you know, the end of a long shift, or maybe you just had a hard day in general and you want to decompress, honestly, getting on Black Ops 2 and playing these survival maps is really satisfying. And again, like I said on Bus Depot, I wish there was an option to put like Pack-a-Punch on farm or something like that. Like, even if it was just like an option you could toggle, because look, right down here, if they put Pack-a-Punch like right here at this little gate, like that literally would have been perfect. Just come down here, use the Pack-a-Punch. It's still kind of risky because, like, you know, if you stay down here for too long, the zombies could possibly like swarm you. So it's like the perfect location for a Pack-a-Punch, yet for some reason there's not one there. I love how each of these survival maps also have like their own color tone and their own mood. Like farm is very brown and gray. It's got a bit of a green tint to it overall. And then Bus Depot, you know, it's more blue. It has that more like lively vibe to it in a way, but it also has like the grays once you step by. It's like a nice mix of like blue and gray and a bit of orange with the lava. But then you get on town and it's just like, it's all lava, it's all orange, it's all bright. I mean, you still got the browns in there. It's like a brown with an orange tint. Even though these maps all technically take place inside of the same map, they all have different vibes and tones to them, and I love that. You also got the MP5 up here. Like I said, very bare bones map, but we still love it anyway. One thing I loved about Black Ops 2 is the fact that as long as you own the Barry DLC, you had the Ray Gun Mark II in the box. Obviously, the drop rates for it were very low, and I mean, I've had times where I spin the box literally 100 times and I don't get the Ray Gun Mark II. Like, the drop rates are that low. That being said, just the very fact that it's in the box is just, I don't know, I always thought that was so cool. Because before Buried released, you know, you had people going for world records and high rounds on maps like Farm and Town and stuff like that, but as soon as Buried came out and we had access to the Ray Gun Mark II, immediately saw all those same people going back, dude, like setting new records, getting higher rounds. It totally changed the game when it came to like high rounds on these survival maps. It was just such a cool thing. One thing I wanted to mention is that this technically isn't an episode in my Revisiting COD Zombie series, because for those of you that don't know, we've been doing this series where like I revisit COD Zombies and I call the videos like Keynote or Totem 4,000 some days later, or Moon however many thousand days later. This isn't technically a part of that. This is just like kind of like a spin-off episode I wanted to do. I'll probably end up putting it inside of the playlist anyway, just so that it's there, just so that I can say that I covered all of the maps. But like I said, this isn't technically like a core map. These are just like spin-off extra maps. So this will just kind of be like a spin-off extra episode. That being said, I might as well cover all the maps. So what do you say we go ahead and dive into town, and we're going to boot up the game on round 20, just so we can get the full experience of buying all the perks, getting Pack-a-Punch, and being super OP. As much as I respect mutations in Black Ops 4, I must say, like, Black Ops 2's menus were just so much more simple. You start it up and it's right here. Your difficulty, starting round, magic, headshots only, hellhounds, you toggle the things, you start up the game, it's as simple as that. But Black Ops 4, you gotta have like a whole PhD to navigate those menus. Round 20, here we go. I must say, the biggest flaw with Black Ops 4 is simply its UI. Like, the only parts of it that I wish were slightly different were like the menus and the in-game HUD. The in-game HUD, I mean, that speaks for itself. It's just, it's not very pretty in Black Ops 4 to say the very least. And then when it comes to like the menus, most of them are just really confusing and hard to navigate, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like, the simple act of starting up a solo zombies match in that game is genuinely one of the most confusing things to try to figure out the first time that you play the game. Like, on launch day, I was sitting there constantly getting into like public matches and setting up like all these different types of matches that I wasn't even, like, I was just trying to get into a simple solo game, but I ended up starting up like 5 different public matches by accident before I figured out how to actually start up a solo game. We all just reminisce on the Mustang and Sally's for a moment. I mean, these things were so good. I miss these guns so much. I know they kind of brought them back in Black Ops 3 with Zombie Chronicles, but they didn't feel the same. Like, as much as I love Black Ops 3 and I love that engine, there's something about Black Ops 1 and like Black Ops 2 and even World at War where it's just like, the guns had such a realistic and gritty kick to them. Like with the Mustang and Sally series, you can see they kick really hard. They have a lot of like, I don't know, there's something about like the impact and the way that they just feel and look on the screen. The way that your guy emotes a little bit while he's using them, like he'll kind of like fix his hands around the grips and like, you know, move his thumb and finger from time to time. I don't know, there's just something about it. Mustang and Sally just feel like they have such a powerful kick and a punch to them on these games, man. Now on town, there was one of 2 training spots that you tended to use. You were either out here, and if you were using this spot, you were probably using stamina up. However, for me personally, I like having speed cola. That's just how I am, even if I don't necessarily need it, because a weapon's reload is, you know, technically fast enough to not really even need it. I'm the type of guy, I just like to play it safe, so even if I'm using a weapon with a quick reload like the Mustang and Sally, I end up buying speed cola anyway, because because you never know, man. That split-second reload could end up saving your life in some situations. So usually what I end up doing is I end up training over here. Some people also camp back at the fence, but when you're going for like really high rounds, that isn't really viable long-term. So usually I just kind of train over here. It might be a bit riskier. Personally, I never really found it to be much riskier. Can we just take a minute to acknowledge what we used to call trains back in 2010? All of us would have been canceled if that was happening today. Syndicate's career literally would have ended back in 2011. That was just such a different time to be alive, man. Back in the day, you know, it was actually fun going on social media and watching YouTube videos and all that. You know, there wasn't all the negativity. Everybody was just positive, trying to have a good time. The internet was still new. Well, not necessarily new, but it was like, I don't know, it was evolving. It was just a different time, I guess. I don't know. The vibes were just different back in the day. If you were on the internet between the years, I'd say like 2006 and like maybe like 2016 at the absolute latest, that was like peak years, but for me personally, I'd say like 2006 to like 2013, maybe 2014 were peak. Nah, you know what? Definitely include 2014 in there because that's when like top 5 zombies YouTubers were doing their thing. So yeah, 2014 is allowed in that little range there. But otherwise nowadays, yeah, it's a wasteland. I don't even go on social media anymore. I make these videos for you guys. I interact with your guys' comments, but that's the extent of social media that I use. I also make posts advertising my videos every time that a new video goes live. But outside of that, I don't go on social media. I don't follow, like I follow people, but I don't look at what they post anymore. I never look at my timeline. I rarely look at my DMs. All of it just feels so redundant and tedious and boring and just mind-numbing nowadays. I couldn't be bothered. I got video games to play. Why waste that time that I could be spending playing games, you know, like doom scrolling on social media? When I compare the enjoyment levels of doom scrolling social media and booting up a classic game of Call of Duty Zombies, it's not even a question. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older now, but I don't know. I could literally use these Mustang and Sallies until the end of time and I never get sick of them. Like, these things are, I don't even have to be shooting zombies to have fun with it. I can literally just shoot this building and I'm still having fun. These things are just so clean. But anyways, yeah, these are the zombies maps that seemingly everyone has forgotten. So now I definitely want to hear from you guys. Have you guys forgotten about these maps? Do you guys still play these maps? Do you guys enjoy these maps? One funny little quirk or bug that some people may not know about is that if you're using Mustang and Sallies that don't have any ammo and you have a secondary weapon, when you go to switch your weapon, yeah, this weird like bug happens on your screen where you can see like the model, like the barrel of the Mustang and Sally clipping through your screen. It's a really bizarre bug and it's been there since day one and they've never patched it. Like as you can see, you know, I'm running around, I gotta switch my gun and then it just like, it zooms in on the barrel of the gun. But anyways, whatever you guys are thinking after watching this video, I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. Anyway, as always, a shout out and a thank you to all of my patrons in the $1 tier and an even bigger thank you to my patrons in the $5 Big Baller tier, Mellow Louse King and Big Daddy Matty. And the biggest thank you of all to the absolute legends in the G tier, Raiden Revengeance and Lil Cheese Girl. Thank you guys so much. Once again, you guys are literal legends. I love you guys. I do plan to resume this like zombies series soon and go back to doing like the official episodes like Transit however many thousand days later. I was just taking a bit of a break there because I was spamming you guys with a lot of videos. So, you know, I know some people have trouble like watching my videos day after day after day, and some of them just kind of wait till the weekend and then they catch up on a bunch of videos. So, you know, I didn't want to make too many videos as to where they felt discouraged because they felt like too far behind in the series. So I was just giving it like a week or two for everybody to catch up because I know I was making a lot of those videos, but within the next couple days I do plan to resume that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.